Welcome back to another episode of Import Modify. On this episode, we'll be stepping away from the Z32 just for a quick moment because I bought me a mystery Z. And you wonder what kind of Z I got? Well, we'll show you here in a minute. Stay tuned. So, a lot of you guys might be asking, why'd you buy another Z car? Well, I've been needing a cheap car to go back and forth to work and not rack up a lot of miles on my truck, which I have been. So, I was not really in the market to buy a car, and came across it on Facebook. Turned out it's the guy who's one of my subscribers to my channel. So, I got in touch with him on Facebook, and we went ahead and made a deal. So, you probably saying, man, hurry up and get to the car. So, here you go. I got me a 1987 Nissan 300ZX Turbo, and for the price I paid on it, I just could not walk away. And I don't really know a whole lot about Z31s, so this is going to be a good learning curve for me. But these cars are pretty hard to find nowadays, especially in my neck of the woods. But looking at the interior and everything, it is in really, really good shape. And it won't take a whole lot to get this thing on the road. And it actually does run, but it's having a clutch issue where he replaced the clutch, the slave, and the master, and the clutch pedal doesn't want to release right. So let me open this real quick. Shows you how much I know. Can't hardly get the dang hood open. But there you guys have it. It's a VG30ET, I believe is the code for the engine, and it's pretty nice, man, for what it is. And I'm pretty stoked on the deal. And it's a car that I'm not going to invest a whole lot of money in. I'm just going to make it reliable and do just a couple little modifications, like some better rims on it and a suspension kit. And just kind of, I know that the turbos are really small on this thing, and what I researched, I think they boost at 5 PSI. So these cars don't come equipped with intercoolers, and it got a pipe straight from the turbo to the throttle body. So we'll be taking care of that, adding an intercooler, and I have that manual boost controller. Now, I was contemplating about the boost controller in my Z32, and I believe I'm just going to go electronic with that. So we'll use the manual boost controller on this car. And also, I was contemplating the size that I got on the intercooler for the Z32 as well. I want a bigger one. So I'm going to see if this intercooler I have will fit on this car. And if it does fit up and I can make it work, I'll go ahead and make an intercooler for it. Put the manual boost controller on it. Turn the boost up to about 10 PSI. And for what I understand, I think the ECU will handle that just fine. So we'll just go ahead and try it out and see what happens. But anyway, I'm pretty stoked on the deal. I think it is a really cool car, and I don't really know a lot about these cars. I don't know if I said that before, but it'll be a great learning experience for me, and I'm pretty stoked about it, man. I mean, even the dash on this thing isn't even cracked. It has a mat on it, and as you can tell, the dash is in great shape. He actually has a short throw shifter on it, and man, I mean, I'm pretty stoked. The thing in question is the clutch is not releasing right, so he was questioning the master cylinder. He swapped out the master cylinder. He did the clutch, the slave, and the master, and for some reason the clutch pedal isn't returning to the proper position once you depress it. Well, depress it means pushing it, and once you let it go, it'll come back a couple times, and then after that it sticks to the floor. So he said that the rod length on the master wasn't the right size. He had to cut it back, and for that reason he believes that is in fault. So I just decided to go ahead, because the parts are really cheap on this car. I went ahead and got stuff to tune it up. I got a new slave, I got a new master, I got some spark plugs, I got a distributor cap and rotor, brake fluid, and some oil and filters. So basically that's what we'll be doing on this car for this episode. Is just we'll be doing some maintenance work, see if we could get the clutch working right, see if we can get this thing tuned up nice, and after that, take her for a rip. And just to show you guys how sweet of a deal I got on it too, it came with the owner's manual. Everything's intact. He's got service records for it. Got me some new Turbos 300ZX stickers. And where is it at? I want to show you guys the icing on the cake. All original, even the Z folder that it came with from the factory when you buy it. And let's see if I can find this real quick. New turbo stickers. And check this out. I have the window sticker from when it sold brand new on the lot. And back in the day, this thing cost $26,149. So he said inflation costs and everything is about $60,000, what it would be worth nowadays if you were to buy it new at that price with the inflation. And I take his word for it, you know, that sounds about right. And you know, I was just pretty stoked on the whole deal about it. You know, it's got the nice little manual, and I don't know exactly what this thing is called, but it's a little book that comes with it, and it's pretty cool. You know, it's got the layout of the car and everything. And it's not a bad deal. And what's cool on this car is like the maxed out edition. It's got the electronic dash and everything, and I'll show you guys what it looks like real quick. Y'all can see that. And just so y'all can hear it run. It's got a boost gauge on it. It's got a straight pipe on it. And the car's running a little bit rough right now, and you know, I've decided I'm gonna go ahead and give it a tune-up and just see if I can get the clutch figured out, and hopefully I can, and we can get this thing on the road pretty soon. So turn it off real quick. I don't need the engine getting real hot on me because I'm gonna be doing some work on it here in a minute. But yeah, pretty cool, man. I'm stoked on it, and I know a lot of you guys are like, man, how much you pay, how much you pay? Well, should I disclose that to you guys? Well, yeah, I'll disclose it. I paid a whopping $1,100. So $1,100 for a pretty rare 1987 300ZX turbo that runs. All the service history, window sticker, brochure. Man, what a score. Anyway, I'm gonna go ahead now and stop rambling off, and I'm gonna start taking the master cylinder off. And it's a brand new master cylinder, like I said before, but we're gonna go ahead and replace it. And since I bought new parts, I'm just gonna replace the parts I have on the car. We'll get that knocked out, and we'll see if we can get this clutch fixed. So without further ado, let's go ahead and start it. Okay, this is pretty much all there is to a master cylinder. You have this pin right here. This pin goes through the actual pedal, and it's got a clip that holds it in place, which connects to this rod, which is bolted through the firewall right here, and you have your clutch line connected right there. So that's pretty much all there is to that. So I'm gonna put the new one in, and we'll replace the slave, bleed it out, and see if it is a success. So I got the car lifted up in the air now, and here's the slave. So it's just 2 bolts. Take it out. First, I'm gonna go ahead and release the line right here, loosen that, take it out, and then I'll replace it. But I was looking at the exhaust. As you can see, it's got a straight pipe on it, but the flange is only being held on by one nut. So I'm gonna have to dig through my bucket of bolts and see if I can find some nuts that'll be able to fit that, and see if I can tighten that up and fix that right there. So, all right, I'm gonna go ahead and knock that out real quick, and then see about finding some nuts for that thing. Alright, so everything's all good on the slave cylinder, and I was able to put 2 brand new nuts and crush washers on these 2 studs. Turns out the back stud right here, it is broken off, so I'm gonna have to order me some new studs in the near future and take care of that, but it is a lot more secure than what it was in the past. So we'll move on from there. I'm gonna go ahead now and start bleeding the clutch and see if we can get this thing to work. So I was able to bleed the clutch, and everything seems to work good now. The clutch is coming back on its own, so that's a good thing. I did see a couple of drips go on the floor, so I tightened this good and tight, gave it a little bit extra of a turn. I sprayed it clean with brake cleaner. I'm just kind of looking at it to verify that I don't have any leaks. I'm going to have to give it some good pumps on a test drive and then come back and look at it to make sure that we don't have any leaks. But I'm draining the oil right now. As you can tell, it's nasty and really black, and it kind of sucks to get to that oil filter up there. Looks like I'll have an easier time coming from the top, so I'm about to plug this off, change out the oil filter, fill it back up with oil, and then from there we'll change out the plugs and do the cap and rotor and see how well she goes. So I got all the old spark plugs out. It looks like they were running a little bit lean. Now these are okay spark plugs. They're E3 spark plugs, but these aren't the ones that you want to use in a boosted application, because you see the little fancy electrode design right there? These don't really work well with turbo applications. Now this is the typical spark plug design right here, and these are the best way to go with a turbocharged engine. So I got some NGK V-powers and I gapped them to 39. From what I could research on the internet, it said from 39 to 44, and I actually gapped them to 38 actually. So they're at 38 thousandths of an inch gapping, and what you want to do is use some anti-seize, and you want to anti-seize the threads before you go ahead and put it in, but that way it'll prevent the spark plugs from seizing in the head. So I got them gapped 38 thousandths. It should be fine. And now I'm going to go ahead and put the anti-seize on it and install it. All right, so I got the spark plugs in now, and I'm moving on to the cap and rotor. Basically, I just fished out the spark plug wires. These are right here, and you have 2 screws, one on each side, or bolts, and you unbolt those, take the cap off. There exposes the rotor, and you just swap out the plugs and the rotor piece, and then just reinstall, and then it should be good from there. So let's go ahead and get that off. Alright, so I got everything just about buttoned up, and what I did was I didn't like the way that they were routed underneath the coolant neck right there, so I routed them over, the spark plug wires over it, and I zip tied them up, so that's good to go. I got everything on as it should be, and I noticed that the bleeder valve, the little bleeder screw on the slave cylinder was just dripping every once in a while, so I opened it up and re-bled it and tightened it extra tight, so we should be good on that. So now let's go ahead and start it up and see how well it runs. And as you can tell, the clutch pedal returns all on its own, so that's good. Move the seat up. Clutch does seem to stick though. It's returning, but it's still like sticking. It's weird. I don't know what the deal is on that. I'm wondering if he put grease on that throwout bearing, like where it slides in and out, because like that would cause it not to slide back. Wondering if that's it, but I don't know. It's sticking still. Now it's sticking. Weird, very weird. Seems to be idling really good though, and that's a good thing. So we did make some good headway. She's purring really good now, running smooth enough. I still need to take the time and get my strobe light out and double check the timing on the distributor, the ignition timing, because on the sticker right there it says it should be at 15 degrees before top dead center. I need to verify that and make sure that the timing on the distributor is good, but I have a limited amount of time today. My kids are calling and bugging me to get home, so man, I just don't understand why that clutch would be sticking like that. Anyway, cool. Let's go see if we can make a pass in it real quick. Well, I made it this far and the clutch pedal's sticking, and I can't get it out of. Well, I can't get the clutch pedal to come out. It's as soon as I hold it in, it starts sticking pretty good. So that leads the master cylinder's good, the slave is good, and he's got a new clutch in it, so that leaves me to believe that the slider guide on the thrust bearing hasn't been lubricated sufficiently, and that's the only thing it could be causing it to not come back like it should. So damn it. Well, I'm gonna try to nurse it around to the front and park it for now, so see how well that'll go. I'll be back to you in a minute.